Jdimytai Damour. On November 28, 2008, a 34-year-old temporary worker stood near the entrance of a Walmart in Valley Stream, New York. Damour had been hired through an agency for the holiday season. His job that morning was crowd control. Outside the store, over 2,000 shoppers had been waiting since the night before. The store was set to open at 5 in the morning. Damour was 6'5" and weighed 270 pounds. His co-workers called him a gentle giant. As 5 a.m. got closer, the crowd pushed forward. They started chanting, "Push the doors in, push the doors in." The pressure against the glass entrance grew stronger. Damour tried to hold his position at the doorway. When the clock hit 5, the surge became overwhelming. The glass doors shattered completely. The doors were ripped off their hinges. The crowd rushed forward like a wave. Damour went down immediately. Shoppers trampled over him. Some people couldn't stop even if they wanted to. Others didn't even notice. Other Walmart employees tried to form a human chain around Damour's body. Shoppers pushed right past them. Some people stepped over him and kept walking into the store. When police and paramedics arrived, they found Damour unconscious on the floor. He was pronounced dead at 6:03 a.m. The cause of death was compression asphyxiation. A 28-year-old pregnant woman was also knocked down but survived with minor injuries. 4 other people were hurt. Police announced over the store speakers that someone had died. Many shoppers refused to leave. Some complained that they had waited too long. Others kept shopping like nothing had happened. Walmart temporarily closed the store but reopened it later that same day. OSHA fined Walmart $7,000 for inadequate crowd control. Damour's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Walmart settled the case for an undisclosed amount. Toys R Us Shootout. On November 28, 2008, the same day as the Walmart tragedy, a Toys R Us in Palm Desert, California was packed with Black Friday shoppers. It was around 11:30 in the morning. 2 groups of people were shopping separately in the store. 2 women from different groups recognized each other. They had an ongoing dispute that had nothing to do with shopping or toys. The women started arguing in the middle of the store. The argument turned physical. The 2 women started fighting. With each group were men. One was 19 years old and the other was 23. As the fight between the women got worse, the men stepped in. Both men were carrying concealed handguns. In the chaos, they drew their weapons. Other shoppers saw the guns and started screaming. Parents grabbed their children and ran. The 2 men fired at each other. Multiple shots rang out through the toy store. Both men were hit. They collapsed in the aisles, surrounded by children's toys and holiday decorations. Panicked shoppers ran for the exits. Parents covered their children's eyes. Someone called 911. Riverside County Sheriff's deputies arrived within minutes. They found both men dead on the scene. They had shot each other. No one else was hit by the gunfire. Investigators determined this was a personal dispute that had nothing to do with Black Friday sales. The men weren't fighting over a toy or a discount. This was a grudge that followed them into the store. The crowded environment just made it worse. Authorities confirmed no other shoppers were physically injured. When combined with the Walmart death earlier that morning, November 28, 2008 became the deadliest Black Friday in history. 3 people died in separate incidents on the same day. Walter Vance. On November 25, 2011, a 61-year-old man went Black Friday shopping with his wife at a Target in Logan, West Virginia. Vance had made this trip an annual tradition. That morning, the store was crowded with shoppers. Everyone was focused on finding the best discounts. Vance and his wife split up to cover more ground. Vance was walking through one of the main aisles when he suddenly felt pain in his chest. He tried to steady himself against a shelf. He was having a heart attack. His legs gave out and he collapsed onto the floor. He landed face down in the middle of the aisle. Other shoppers were all around him. Dozens of people saw him on the ground. Some people looked at him and kept walking. Others stepped over his body to get past. A few people glanced down but assumed he was resting or sleeping. No one stopped to help. Vance lay on the floor for nearly 10 minutes. Shoppers continued to walk around him and over him. They were too focused on finding deals to notice something was seriously wrong. Security footage later showed the whole incident. Finally, a Target employee noticed something was wrong. The employee called for help. They called 911 immediately. Paramedics arrived and transported him to the nearest hospital. Doctors tried to save him, but the delay had been too long. He was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The cause of death was cardiac arrest. Vance's daughter spoke to the media afterward. She said people didn't care, they just wanted their stuff. Some shoppers who were there that day later claimed they thought he was just sitting down or taking a break. The incident became a symbol of how Black Friday shopping can make people lose their humanity. No criminal charges were filed because no one directly caused his death. Father and daughter's crash. On November 23, 2012, a father from California took his family out for Thanksgiving and Black Friday shopping. His two young daughters were with him in the car. They had spent the evening looking for deals at various stores. It was late when they started driving home. The father was behind the wheel. Investigators later determined the father was impaired while driving. They suspected he was under the influence of alcohol or drugs. He may have also been extremely tired from the long day of shopping. His driving became erratic. The car started drifting between lanes. He overcorrected and lost control of the vehicle. The car swerved off the road. It struck a barrier at high speed. Emergency responders arrived at the scene within minutes. Both daughters were killed in the crash. They died from the injuries sustained in the collision. The father survived. Police conducted an investigation at the crash site. They performed tests on the father. Evidence suggested impairment was a major factor in the accident. He was taken into custody. Prosecutors filed criminal charges against him. He faced charges related to driving under the influence and vehicular manslaughter. The father was found guilty. He was sentenced to prison time. The crash was classified as a Black Friday-related death because it happened immediately after a shopping trip on the holiday weekend. The tragedy destroyed a family. 2 young children lost their lives because of a preventable decision. The case highlighted the dangers of driving while impaired, especially after long shopping marathons that involve stress and exhaustion. The father's conviction didn't bring them back. Teen fatigue crash. On November 29, 2013, a teenager from North Carolina spent the entire night shopping for Black Friday deals. The teen had gone out with friends to take advantage of doorbuster sales. Stores were opening at midnight and staying open through the early morning. They went from store to store, waited in long lines, and searched for discounts. By the time the sun came up, the teen had been awake for over 24 hours. The decision was made to drive home alone. The teen got into the car with shopping bags piled in the back seat. The highway was mostly empty. The teen started the drive home. Exhaustion was setting in. The lack of sleep was catching up. Eyelids felt heavy. The teen tried to stay alert by turning up the radio and opening the windows, but the fatigue was too strong. The teen's head started to nod forward. Eyes closed for just a second, then longer. The teen fell asleep at the wheel. The car drifted off the road. It veered into the shoulder and then went further. The teen didn't wake up in time to correct. The vehicle struck a tree at full speed. The impact was fatal. First responders were called to the scene. When they arrived, they found the teen dead inside the vehicle. The cause of death was blunt force trauma from the collision. Investigators found no evidence of alcohol or drugs. The crash was ruled as fatigue-related. Shopping bags were still in the back seat, unopened. The teen's family was devastated. They released a statement asking people to remember that no sale is worth your life. The case became an example of how the overnight Black Friday shopping culture can be dangerous. Stores encouraging people to shop at midnight or 3 a.m. were creating a situation where exhausted shoppers had to drive home. The teen's death was completely preventable. Good Samaritan shooting. On November 25, 2016, a man was walking through a Walmart parking lot in Reno, Nevada on Black Friday evening. He had finished his shopping and was heading to his car. The parking lot was full. It was dark outside. As the man walked, he noticed something that made him stop. A woman was being attacked. A man was beating her in the parking lot. She was screaming for help. Other people in the area heard the screams but kept walking. The man made a different choice. He ran toward the woman to help her. He yelled at the attacker to stop. The attacker turned toward him. The 2 men confronted each other. The man who was helping tried to pull the attacker away from the woman. A physical fight broke out. The attacker reached into his clothing. He pulled out a gun. Before anyone could react, he fired. The shot hit the man who had been trying to help. The man collapsed in the parking lot. The attacker ran away. Police and paramedics arrived quickly. They found the man lying in the parking lot with a gunshot wound. Paramedics tried to save him, but the injury was too severe. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The woman he had tried to help was injured from the earlier assault but survived. She told police what happened. She said the man had saved her life by intervening. Police launched a manhunt for the shooter. They eventually caught and arrested the attacker. He was charged with murder. The man who died was described by his family as someone who always helped others. They said he saw someone in trouble and didn't hesitate. His death showed how even trying to do the right thing can be dangerous on Black Friday. The parking lot shooting became part of a larger pattern. More Black Friday violence was happening outside stores rather than inside. Sacramento mall shooting. On November 27, 2020, a shopping mall in the Sacramento area of Northern California was packed with Black Friday shoppers. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, people had come out to look for deals. The mall had multiple levels with dozens of stores. Families were shopping for holiday gifts. It was early evening and the mall was at peak capacity. Everything seemed normal. Without warning, gunshots rang out inside the mall. People started screaming, shoppers dropped to the ground. Others ran toward the nearest exits, parents grabbed their children. Store employees locked their gates and hid in back rooms. People didn't know where the shooter was or how many shooters there were. Panic spread through the entire building. 2 people were hit by the gunfire. They collapsed in the mall common area. The mall turned into chaos within seconds. Police were called immediately. Multiple units responded to the scene. Officers arrived and began evacuating people from the building. They searched for the shooter. Paramedics rushed to the 2 victims. Both had been shot multiple times. Despite attempts to save them, both victims were pronounced dead at the scene. They died from their gunshot wounds. The police investigation began immediately. They reviewed security camera footage. The shooting appeared to be targeted, not random. It wasn't related to any shopping dispute or Black Friday sale. The mall was shut down for the rest of the day and into the next. Investigators collected evidence. They worked to identify suspects. Police eventually identified suspects, but the case details were not fully released to the public. The 2 victims were identified as young adults. Their families mourned publicly. The shooting showed how Black Friday violence had evolved. It wasn't about stampedes anymore. Gun violence had become the bigger threat. Even in 2020, with fewer shoppers due to the pandemic, the violence continued. The Sacramento mall shooting became another statistic in the long list of Black Friday tragedies. If you want to see more cases like this, make sure to subscribe to get your weekly dose of prevention before you end up on the next list.